2012, a collaborative group of students and lecturers from the University of Hertfordshire and partner Shree College took part in a cultural exchange programme to compare the approaches to early years education in both countries. These resources are a record of our experiences and observations in Malaysia. Malaysia is a multicultural country with Malay, Chinese and Indian as the three major ethnic groups. It is a Muslim country, although other religions are widely practiced. The settings we visited were all situated in and around the country's capital, Kuala Lumpur.
Most early years education is provided by the private sector, with less than half of the children in government-run schools. The Ministry of Education provides early years settings, or tadikas, with licences, as well as basic training for teachers. As with the EYFS in the UK, early years education is divided into 6 areas of learning under the Early Childhood Care and Education Guidelines. In general, the areas of learning in both countries are very similar. The main difference is the increased focus on children's spiritual and moral development, as opposed to the introduction of scientific and humanities knowledge.
During our stay in Malaysia, Shree College arranged visits to 4 private sector tadikas. Tadika Cekal Jaya, an independent centre in a more rural area of the city. Tadika Adik Adik, another independent tadika in a more urban area. Kinderland Kota Damansara, part of the Singaporean franchise. And a Smart Reader Kids provision, part of the franchise created and run by Shree College. We went with the intention of focusing on key areas to be decided once we had a clearer idea of what Malaysian settings were like. During our visits, we decided to focus on 3 aspects: language, creativity and play, and assessment.
All 4 of the tadikas we visited used an English medium. Children learn up to 4 languages at a time, including Bahasa Melayu, English, Mandarin, Arabic and Tamil. For Islamic children, learning Arabic is a curriculum requirement, covering approximately 10% of the curriculum time. For all pupils, learning Bahasa Melayu is a requirement encompassed within the curriculum.
Tadika Cekal Jaya. At Tadika Cekal Jaya, children learn English, Malay and Arabic, including 120 minutes of Malay per week. The children have a separate teacher for teaching the Arabic language and Islamic religion, as shown in the next video. However, during our visit, all the lessons we observed were teacher-led and workbook-based within core subjects. The instruction focused on reading and writing as opposed to oral learning. The Tadika had a small library with a small designated carpet area for reading. There was a mixture of English and Malay books. The library consisted mainly of reading books and a few non-fiction texts. However, some of these were outdated. We observed there was a minimal amount of fiction, picture or storybooks. Instead of using phonemes or letter sounds when teaching English, the teacher was using the letter names to decode the words, which led to some incorrect pronunciations. Therefore, Carl was read as Carol.
Carol. Okay, good morning. Carol. Good morning. Carol. Point. Good.
The majority of visual aids and displays were in English. However, there was no multilingual translations and some displays were not clearly organised, for example, reading from left to right. Furthermore, the displays were in the communal downstairs area, separate from their upstairs classrooms where they worked. Some pictures were accompanied by an image which would aid their language understanding.
Tadika Adik Adik. At Tadika Adik Adik, children learn Arabic, English, Malay and Mandarin. These are not always taught by native speakers. There was no clear context for language learning, as we did not observe the use of books, story reading or storytelling besides their workbooks. Similar to Tadika Cekal Jaya, the emphasis is on reading and writing, not comprehension and speaking. However, we did observe different languages used to sing the same song to support their language comprehension. Within phonics teaching, children learn letter names and syllable sounds. For example, as shown in this video, the children say the letter name H and AY, which becomes A. Then the words blend together to make hay. In addition, this image shows how words are partitioned into syllables and chunks as opposed to initially learning phonemes. Tadika Adik Adik had some displays with key words either in Malay or English, but most visual support was written on the blackboard and was not a permanent source. However, unlike Tadika Cakal Jaya, the displays that were present were within the classroom areas.
Kinderland Kota Damansara Tadika is part of a Singaporean franchise. Malay, English and Mandarin are taught. However, unlike the other Tadikas, Arabic is not, because they have no Islamic pupils. Children have a variety of reading books. Furthermore, reading and spelling is often put into context. The setting was a text-rich environment, with informative displays. There were opportunities for multilingual learning, and the majority of displays included information in all 3 languages, or had written and pictorial representations. In several lessons, we observed lots of interaction, discussion and dialogue between pupils and adults. Having discussions promoted the children's oral comprehension and put language into context. In this example, some children were confident when engaging in conversation in the English language. Children were also interviewed to assess their understanding.
What is your name? Oh, how old are you? How old are you? How old? 5 years old. What is your name? And are you 5 years old as well? What are you doing?
Coloring.
Coloring what? What is this?
The teaching of phonics was similar to the previous Tadikas, but started with vowels, then adding consonants after. For example, starting with the vowel sound A, then moving on to adding consonants, a, at, an, and so forth.
Smart Reader. Smart Reader has good reading books providing contextful language learning. The books for readings are available before the start of education sessions and follow a developmental reading scheme similar to the British education approach. Smart Reader used several songs to promote English speaking. Nearly all of the songs sung were in English, and the teachers spoke it fluently. We observed some interactive teaching and learning with word matching on cards, with children moving around the classroom.
Ka, mana ka? Ambil ka dulu. Okay. Ka, pak. Lagi pak. Pak. Pak, ambil dah ka dulu. Ka, pak mana? P-A-K, pak. Tunjuk, sambung dulu. Sambung macam mana? Tunjuk kat kelas. Tunjuk. Macam mana sambung? Ni. Tunjuk, baca sana. Baca.
Smart Reader also used the Malaysian versions of phonics using onset and rhyme. Within Smart Reader, most of the wall space had been professionally painted, creating visually interesting surroundings. This meant that not many informative displays were used. Of the displays we did see, some included multilingual information.
The principles of the Malaysian preschool approach are to promote children's characteristics. Children are active and curious, thus the aim is to expose children to a rich and stimulating environment and programme that provides a variety of support materials, such as printed, multisensory or interactive and user-friendly materials. The principle of the Malaysian preschool approach are positive, although, as there is no national curriculum, early years settings decide and implement their own curriculum. This can either be designed by them or bought from another education provider. This results in varied expectation. The recommended amount of preschool instructional time is 3.5 hours per day, 5 days a week. The suggested timetable is as follows: class activities 90 minutes, inside and outside the classroom, group activities 60 minutes, free activities 30 minutes, and break, snack or rest time 30 minutes.
Tadika Jekyll Jaya's advert looked established, with a programme which provides facilities to stimulate children creatively and through play. Our observation of the setting displayed that some of these facilities were not available or had been removed. Although some of the equipment looked promising, it was sometimes limited or above the children's ability levels. For instance, it is advertised there is a modern and safe outdoor area. We observed that this area does not currently have any equipment in it. The principal explained that most of the facilities were removed for safety reasons or because it affected the children's health. In terms of free play or child-initiated play, we did not observe any during our visit. Children worked upstairs away from any downstairs play equipment or the outside area. All of the activities we observed were based around the use of workbooks.
Tadika Adik-Adik had some resources for creative activities, including art resources consisting of pencils, coloured paper and paint. We observed during our visit that children were given opportunities to colour work in, although this was not part of a specified creative activity. There were no toys evident apart from a slide which was outside. The teachers explained that the outdoor area was not used very often, firstly as the weather was either very hot or raining, and secondly, there were not enough toys or space for all the children. Tadika Adik-Adik produces an annual concert, which includes several dances accompanied by costumes. This is used to celebrate the children and involve parents. The rehearsals for this concert include singing and dancing, which will take up a substantial proportion of curriculum time. A common trend we observed in Tadika Adik-Adik is their integration of song. The children often sing using actions during the start or plenary of lessons, which can promote understanding of different subjects. This enables creative learning as the children are learning through a kinesthetic and interactive approach.
They play. Where do they play?
Here around here.
Okay.
Yes. Because this morning was really heavily, so we don't allow them out.
Okay.
They will get themselves wet and play.
What time do they usually play?
10 o'clock.
10 o'clock. How long for?
20 minutes they have their break. So after the break, the teachers will let them run around.
So, sort of nowish. Yeah. And that includes food as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
During their break time, some children did explore their environment and engaged in their own free play. As seen in the video, the children began to make their own marks and writing. Shortly after, the teacher decided to intervene and consequently direct their play into a maths activity, which resulted in an adult-led activity as opposed to child-initiated play. When unsupervised, the children were seen to play with equipment in a role-play manner, such as using pencil cases as mobile phones or playing running games. This form of play was possibly not sufficient during their break time, which may have contributed to lower levels of concentration.
Kinderland Kota Damansara. The physical environment in Kinderland Kota Damansara promotes children's work being displayed widely throughout the school. Furthermore, the displays are informative and at child height, which makes the information more accessible and of value to the children. We observed that singing was used frequently. The children sang songs for enjoyment purposes and were allowed to suggest and choose songs and activities to match. This resulted in the children being very happy and animated. There was also evidence of children using instruments, as well as the school having its own song. During our visit, the children were involved in a finger painting activity, which allowed for a kinesthetic sensory exploration of colour, shape and pattern. These activities were different to tasks seen in other preschool settings due to the freedom and open-ended results. In addition, the teachers explained that specialist arts and dance teachers came in once a week, allowing even more scope for creative activity. However, this setting did not have a role-play area, which is something they were considering to invest in. Whilst visiting Kinderland, the children were exploring the topic of Easter. An Easter egg hunt had been set up outside. This allowed free movement and exploration of the outside environment and play equipment. In addition to the children taking part in an Easter egg hunt, they then had the opportunity for exploration, playing with a pet rabbit. Interacting with the rabbit was accompanied with a discussion where children felt confident to describe and express their ideas. Thus, the children were engaged as the experience promoted playful and creative learning.
Smart Reader. The themed rooms at Smart Reader, featuring bright colourful walls and large-scale paintings alongside matching furniture, may stimulate a child's creativity or alternatively be overwhelming and distracting. Due to the walls being professionally painted, no children's work was displayed. At Smart Reader, there are designated rooms for different age groups. The 3-year-old room had toys accessible, including a slide, swing, large soft play furniture, Play-Doh, plastic items and building bricks. The 4-year-old room had similar items, with the addition of a toy kitchen and puppets. However, due to the preschool's location being above ground level, there was no outdoor area available or any windows supplying natural daylight. Play is not integrated into learning session, but is available before and after the core education session between 9 a.m. and noon. During break time, the children did have short opportunities to play with equipment. However, they seemed hesitant until the visiting adult initiated the play by playing throwing and catching games with them. Towards the end of our visit, all the children gathered in one room and sang a selection of songs, including the Smart Reader song. It was apparent the children regularly sing these songs. Some children seemed to be very loud and excitable, perhaps using the singing activity to release energy through not previously partaking in play activities. Assessment. There are no standardized tests taken during early years education in Malaysia. However, during primary school, children take the UPSR. Although these are not taken until the end of year 3, a strong emphasis is placed on preparing children for them at an early age. The lack of an agreed national curriculum seemed to result in varied expectation for the children who are preparing to move on to primary school. In some tadikas, the expectation for the 6-year-old were below what they would be for the same age group in the UK, while in others they were much more similar, and in some subject area exceeded them.
Tadika Chekujaya. From our observations at Tadika Chekujaya, children complete their work in silence and so receive no obvious formative assessment or guidance. Once children complete a page of their workbook, it is marked by the teacher. Although the teachers marked the children's work, from our short-term observations we did not see any written or verbal feedback, except a possible score out of 10. At this Tadika, the children take paper-based tests every 6 months from the age of 4 years old. The tests are produced by the principal and are the only record kept of children's progress, as there are no observations. The principal at Chekujaya explained that although testing is not compulsory in the early years, she felt there was a substantial pressure from parents to ensure the children would practice and succeed when they later took standardised tests when entering primary school. The principal explained that the children were placed into either an arts or science stream primary school based on their results at the age of 6, and that it was important for children to achieve good results across all subjects. Good results are extremely important, as the ability groups they were placed in at primary school will be the same for every subject. Thus, having a poor result in one subject could mean that they will be placed in a lower ability group across the board and their potential in other subjects could be inhibited.
Tadika Adik Adik. At Tadika Adik Adik, the children take written tests twice a year to assess their progress in English, Bahasa Melayu, Mandarin and maths. As at Cekal Jaya, the tests are devised by the setting, although here the tests are differentiated in the final year depending on whether they have only completed the 1 year compulsory attendance or have been at the Tadika for 2 or 3 years. Irrespective of the level of tests taken, the methods utilised to assess the children's learning are largely based on matching words and labelling pictures. Teachers here were seen to use closed questioning, often to the whole class, to test children's knowledge. The marking was also not formative, with only ticks and crosses as the source of feedback. Furthermore, if a child produced the wrong answer, it would be rubbed out immediately.
Twice in a year we have it here also.
Oh, right.
So just actually it's an assessment. We don't call it a test, we call it assessment. So we will assess the child and let the parents know what is how the child is doing, what do they know. After half year, the teacher has already taught so far, whether they can consume all the things that the teacher teaches, or whether they are not very sure whatever the teacher is teaching.
How do you assess them? Do the teachers just, well, they know the children, they see it, or do the children do a test?
Yeah,
the children do a test.
They will do a test on what they learn.
Okay.
Kinderland. Unlike the previous Tadikas visited, at Kinderland, most children will progress to private or international schools. The children at Kinderland are assessed more frequently than at any other setting we visited, and the assessments are placed into a student portfolio.
At school, really young. Unlike here, they think 5 years already. In Singapore, they start as young as 3, play school. 4, they start the 3 hours, the introduction to phonics, reading, writing. So that's why the syllabus is slightly higher. But here, not all the kids can cope because some of them send at 5. What I do is I practice DAP, developmentally appropriate practices, according to their age group and their level. So I don't really follow Singapore syllabus to the T. But kids who can, I give them extras, more personal one-to-one. Or
These assessments consist of 2 summative and 6 formative assessments a year. The formative assessment is recorded in individual record books, which contain observation checklists. Annotated photographs are used, as well as comments on the child's progress by their parent, with whom the books are shared termly. Due to this Tadika having more emphasis on regular observation, the principal explains how children's varying abilities are considered. They are given work that is tailored to their individual ability. In contrast to the other settings visited, the children's work is regularly marked and comments are given, sometimes including feedback to suggest improvements they can make to their own work. The summative tests taken here are based on Singaporean tests. The tests taken each year are differentiated to an extent as they are produced based on the average achievement of the year group. This, however, does not take into account children who may be achieving either above or below the average. The key difference with the language tests is that they include sections in which children are expected to fill in gaps in sentences, given the language they are used in a context. Kinderland had a child with special educational needs who had Asperger's syndrome, a form of autism. The staff members were keen to find out how pupils with similar needs are catered for in the UK, as they wanted to expand their knowledge of how to appropriately differentiate and support special needs.
We learn about processed food today, didn't we? Not very healthy, but this is very healthy. This is what we call pet food pellets. Yes, it's actually made of vegetables.
Smart Reader. The children are rewarded with gold stars for good behavior and good work, although this is not tracked or recorded anywhere else as far as we could see. This remaining section of this video displays a spelling test. We observed that not all assessment accounted for differentiation.
Say good morning, Ikwa. What teacher Rani say? You need to say good morning, right? When people say hi to you. Stand up. No. Cat? Nice? It's okay. See? Okay, look. Right? Remember, okay? Okay, next. Cow. Cow.
Smart Reader centers cover 9 subjects: behavior and socializing, music and movement, math, science, computer time, English, Bahasa Melayu, and Mandarin. Basic individual records are kept of a child's general abilities and shared with parents on a termly basis. Children's attainment is assessed by staff at the end of each year. Because there are no set level descriptors, the children's progress is decided through discussion and consensus amongst the teaching staff. In Malaysia, children's achievements are celebrated with an end-of-year graduation recognizing their effort and progress.